So this morning, we were made aware by Cuban authorities of an incident off the coast of Cuba. We immediately began to look into it. As it stands now, the Department of Homeland Security, the Coast Guard, others are involved. The majority of the information we still possess is what Cuban authorities are providing both the public and the U.S. government. We have our embassy on the ground in Havana working this as we speak, asking for access to the people that were on those vessels, if they were American citizens or permanent residents. According to the Cuban regime, that the boat was registered in Florida. We're tracking that down. We will know shortly. We will know quickly many more facts about this incident than we know right now. The majority of the facts being publicly reported are those by the information provided by the Cubans. We will verify that independently. As we gather more information, we'll be prepared to respond accordingly. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to opine on what I don't yet know. But we're going to find out exactly what happened here, and then we'll respond accordingly. Okay? Any questions?
Have you been in touch with anyone in Cuba? What your
Well, the authorities in Cuba, the border guard has constant contact with the Coast Guard, so they alerted them this morning. I was made aware of it at that time. Oftentimes in these incidents and things like this, the initial reports are incomplete, and then as the day has progressed, I think early this morning, certainly by 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. this time, maybe a little later our time here, I reached out and we began to look at it independently. We have various different elements of the U.S. government that are trying to verify elements of the story based on what's been provided to us now. I know that the Coast Guard has responded to the area, to the vicinity. I'll need to get more fidelity and understanding from them once I get on the airplane about what exactly they're looking for. I don't know who has possession of the vessel, which is the first thing we want to have. We obviously want to have access to these people, that they are American citizens or U.S. residents. But I'm not going to speculate now because right now, still, a lot of the information that's out there is information that's been provided by the Cubans. We are going to verify that information independently and reach our own conclusions.
So this is not U.S. government personnel that was not U.S. government?
No.
Have you spoken to any Cuban about this?
No, we haven't spoken directly about this now. No, I'm not going to comment about any conversations we've had on this topic. Suffice it to say, what's important to be out there and everyone needs to know is that we're going to have our own information on this, and we're going to figure out exactly what happened. And there are a number of things that could have happened. But I'm not even going to speculate as to what it could have been. It's a wide range of things. But suffice it to say, it is highly unusual to see shootouts in open sea like that. It's not something that happens every day. It's something, frankly, that hasn't happened with Cuba in a very long time. But we're going to find out. We're not going to base our conclusions on what they've told us. And I'm very, very confident that we will know the full story of what happened here, and we will know it soon. And then, we'll respond appropriately based on what that information tells us.
If these were American citizens or residents, what kind of retaliation might be expected?
Yeah, I'm not going to speculate on what the U.S. will do. What I'm telling you is that we're going to find out exactly what happened and who was involved, and then we'll make a determination on the basis of what we find out. And we're going to find out. But we're not going to just take what somebody else tells us. We're going to find out, and I'm very confident we will be able to know the story, be able to independently verify facts about it.
And just to clarify, you found out prior to the Postone accident?
Yes. Well, and obviously there was an incident at sea, so we do have constant contact with them at the Coast Guard level, where they notify the U.S. Coast Guard on a variety of things, including migrants and so forth. That there's these mill-to-mill, I guess, Coast Guard to Coast Guard channels that exist. And this reporting early on was fragmentary about an incident, but not the details. They provided more details in the social media post they put out, as well as a notice they sent to the embassy, or from their embassy to the State Department. But in it is embedded all sorts of facts, so things that they claim to be facts, such as where the ship came from, where the boat came from, who was on it, what happened, and so forth. These are the things we're going to independently verify, and then we'll present that to the policymakers in our country, including the president, and we'll make determinations based on the facts. Right now, we're still gathering facts.
Do you have any reason to doubt those reports? Just your.
I have every reason to want our own information. We don't generally make decisions in the United States on the basis of what the Cuban authorities are saying.
You get some of the people that seems like the Treasury Department that basically want Cuba's definitely cancer visits for private companies. Is this a shift in policy? But what is it going to be?
No, it's always been legal to sell to the private sector in Cuba. Okay, these would not be sales to the government. These would not be sales to the military-owned Gaesa, the company. These would be sales to a very small private sector that exists in Cuba. And that's always been legal. I mean, if there are people that have a license to do that now. This would just expand to the numbers that could do it. Again, it would go to the private sector. The private sector in Cuba is quite small. It exists, but it's small. And it certainly, in and of itself, does not have the capacity to deal with the scale and scope of the challenges they're facing. But if the Cuban economy were a functioning economy, it would have a much larger private sector. And so what's clear is that, and I would say this, that the people of Cuba are suffering today. They've been suffering for a long time. They're suffering now, perhaps more than any time in recent memory, perhaps in the history, since 1959. This is the worst economic climate that Cuba has faced. And it is the authorities there and that government who are responsible for that. They're the ones that have made decisions that have left Cuba vulnerable to the situation they're now in. Understand that Cuba has largely survived on the basis of subsidies. The Soviet Union gave them free things. When the Soviet Union collapsed, they went into a special period, which was disastrous for them. And then along came Hugo Chavez and bailed them out for a long time. When that sort of died off a little bit, the Maduro regime was providing them fuel, or they were providing them actually crude oil. Some percentage of that was refined and used domestically, and a large percentage of that was never even made it to Cuba. It was sold in the open market for cash to fund the regime and to fund the military-owned company. So the reason why Cuba's electricity grid was already in collapse, before Maduro was captured, it was already in collapse. The reason why things are as bad as they are is because they have an economic model that does not exist, that does not work, doesn't exist anywhere in the world. It is not functional. And the only way Cuba's going to have a better future is if it has a different economic model. Now, if you go back to President Trump's 2017 or 2018 executive orders on a new policy in Cuba, that policy was entirely designed in many ways to put the private sector and individual private Cubans, not affiliated with the government, not affiliated with the military, in a privileged position. The reason why those industries have not flourished in Cuba is because the regime has not allowed them to flourish. So now that they're in a crisis, there's an opportunity for them to import fuel in small quantities, granted, through a private sector. If we catch the private sector there playing games and diverting it to the regime or to the military company, if we find that they're moving that stuff around in ways that violate the spirit and the scope of these permissions, those licenses will be canceled. But it's the same reason why we provided humanitarian assistance. We provided humanitarian assistance in Cuba in the aftermath of the hurricane. We provided it through the Catholic Church, not through the government. And we're prepared to do something similar when it comes to fuel through the private sector, the small private sector. But that alone will not solve Cuba's very dramatic problems that have been caused by 60 some odd years of mismanagement, ineptitude, and a failed economic model.
There's been some reporting that this was about a private boat that was trying to rescue and help some people escape Cuba. I don't know if you can comment on that, and if you can say whether you would advise people to not do that. What can you say about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm not going to comment about this specific boat until we have all the information. So I just want to be clear, I'm not going to speculate about whose boat it was, what they were doing, why they were there, what actually happened. I'm not going to speculate on that because it's not smart to do that until we have all the facts. Now, separate from that, yes, there have been people in the past that have run into Cuba to bring people and stuff. It is illegal. It is a violation of federal law to go and run people back and forth, and we've caught people doing that in the past. It doesn't normally lead to shootouts, to be honest with you. But I'm not claiming that's what's happened here. I don't know, we don't know. And it would be unfair for me and probably unwise to sit here and speculate it might be this and it might be that, when we're going to know. We are going to know. And when we know, then we'll tell you and we'll do what needs to be done about it, depending on what it is.
Secretary, do you have any expectation? Can you share with us your expectation